LeBron has his pocket picked right away.
Man, who was that?
Jalen Johnson. He goes right up and over Austin Reeves.
Oh my God.
Hey y'all, Fastbreak Mil here. And after a crazy NBA season in which we saw players do things we've never seen on the basketball court before, and we saw players ascend to heights that they've never reached before in their NBA careers, I must say this has been one of the best NBA seasons of all time. But of course, at the end of the season, we have to have our award selections and all NBA team selections. So I'm here to bring you that today. But before we do that, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to the Fastbreak Mil Podcast YouTube channel, and also go to the Fastbreak Mil Podcast TikTok page and follow that as well for other basketball content. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode, and here are my selection picks for the awards and also all NBA teams. Alright y'all, the first award I want to talk about is this year's most improved player, and I'm going to be honest with you, this race has pretty much been locked up. Especially after last night, I gotta say, this year's most improved player is Chicago Bulls' Coby White. Coby White this year has shown great leaps and bounds that he is this year's most improved player for the fact that his stats have gotten so much better. He's gone from 9.7 points per game to 19.8. 2.8 assists per game to 5.1 assists per game, and the 2.9 rebounds per game to 4.5. And he just improved in other statistical categories too, like his shooting splits and just everything. He's literally improved greatly in just a year. Also, I'd like to point out his role has expanded greatly. He's gone from being Chicago's fourth best scoring option to now being Chicago's best player, being the guy that Chicago is going to look to rebuild around in the coming years. And also, I just like to say he is most improved because he is one of the big reasons why his team is in the position they are now. If Coby White was playing like how Coby White played last season, Chicago would be nowhere near competing to get a playoff spot. The fact that Coby White has single-handedly led this team to the success they've seen this year, and if it wasn't for Coby White, they probably would be the worst team in the NBA. I have to give Coby White most improved player. He's gone nuclear this year, in my opinion, and I could just see that continuing for him moving forward as Chicago's best player. I would say second for this award would be Tyrese Maxey. And I would only say that Coby White got this over Tyrese Maxey because when James Harden left, we were expecting Tyrese Maxey to make a jump. I don't think anybody was expecting Coby White to have the type of jump he did. We were honestly writing off Coby White. So the fact that he's come back to show that he could potentially be an all-star type player for the Chicago Bulls in the future, most improved player this year is Coby White. The second award I want to talk about is Rookie of the Year. And again, this race has been locked up since damn near January. And of course it's been locked up because the future GOAT is going to win Rookie of the Year. And that future GOAT is Mr. Victor Wembanyama, this year's Rookie of the Year, and it should be unanimous by a landslide. Honestly, if they were giving out 2 Rookie of the Year awards, he'd win both of them. That's how much of a landslide win this is going to be. And for me, I feel like this was an easy win for Victor because coming in as the number 1 pick, being a generational prospect as he was, he's had tons of expectations we haven't seen since LeBron James. And what did Victor do? He not only smashed those expectations, he's put on even bigger expectations and ambitions for not only himself but the Spurs in general. Of course, the Spurs were bad this year, but with Victor Wembanyama, that shouldn't be the case for much longer. Victor Wembanyama is an alien, if we've ever seen one, and he's took the league by storm this year, and I don't think he's going to slow down. This is the worst version of Victor Wembanyama we're watching right now, and that's scary when you think about it, because to me, he had one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. It was a top 10 rookie season, in my opinion. Honestly, you could even say he had a top 5 rookie season. He averaged a double-double, 21 and 10, while also leading the league in blocks with over 3.5 per game. If this is the worst version of Victor Wembanyama, oh my gosh, we're literally watching the future go. And that's why I have him as Rookie of the Year this year. I would say second would be Chet Holmgren. And don't get me wrong, Chet had an amazing season. And if he was healthy last season, he probably was going to win Rookie of the Year over Paolo if he was putting up numbers like how he did this season. But because you're competing against an alien in Victor Wembanyama, Rookie of the Year was not going to be Chet's. But I will say, he has shown a lot of flashes that he will be a force in this league with Victor Wembanyama. So, man, what a great rookie class this year. Really great rookie class this year. The next award I want to talk about is Sixth Man of the Year. And unlike in years past, I feel like this was a much closer race than one would seem to believe. I feel like it came down to 2 players this year, one being Malik Monk from the Sacramento Kings, and the other being Naz Reid from the Minnesota Timberwolves. In my opinion, both deserve the award immensely, but I'm going to give it to Naz Reid for the fact being that when Naz Reid is on the court for the Minnesota Timberwolves, he 100% is their starting center. It feels like. It doesn't feel like he is actually a 6th man. He is one of those 6 men that you really know he could be a starter on about probably every other team in the league. For me, Naz Reid, anytime he was on the court for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Timberwolves were literally that much better. It's one of the main reasons why the Timberwolves are a top 3 seed in the Western Conference playoffs this year. And none of that could have happened without Naz Reid. Just the improvement in his game, the shooting splits, the way he's been one of the most versatile bigs in the game. Naz Reid this year is my 6th man of the year. And potentially, I could see Naz Reid winning this award if he's with the Timberwolves for many years. Especially if he's backing up Karl Anthony Towns. Like I said, Naz Reid could 100% be a starting quality center on about every other team in the league. But the fact that he's a 6th man on the Timberwolves makes the Timberwolves that much better. And it gives them that much more depth. And that's why I have him as my 6th man of the year this year over Malik. Alright, y'all. The next award I want to talk about is going to be a little controversial because I have a guy who's not favored to win, winning it. And that guy is the generational future GOAT from San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama. I have him as this year's Defensive Player of the Year over the guy who many have winning it this year, Rudy Gobert. And if we're looking at it from just a eye test standpoint, maybe you can give it to Rudy. Maybe you can give it to Rudy. But I'm going to be honest, just off of eye test, Victor Wembanyama looks as if he is one of the most feared defenders in the league. The fact there's been multiple occasions this year where Victor has had fast break opportunities. People have had fast break opportunities on Victor and they have not gone up on him because they've just been too scared of the blocks. The fact that Victor as a rookie is leading the league in blocks, like, there's just so many things that are telling me and showing you that Victor Wembanyama is this year's Defensive Player of the Year. I don't even know why we're even considering Rudy at this point. And I think it's only because of the fact that a rookie has never won Defensive Player of the Year. So they don't want to break that mold. They don't want to break that norm. F it. Let's break it. Because this man is one of the greatest defensive players of all time, even as a rookie. So he deserves to win this award. And like he said before, he may not win it this year. He's going to win it next year, the year after that, and probably the year after that as well. So my Defensive Player of the Year this year is Victor Wembanyama. My pick for Coach of the Year is Oklahoma City Thunder's coach, Mark Daigneault. I'm picking Coach Daigneault for Coach of the Year because of the fact that Many coming into this season thought Oklahoma City could potentially be like the 6th seed, maybe the 5th seed. They thought they would take a step, a better step than they did last year, and one that saw them actually make it to the playoffs and maybe put up a good fight in the first round. Well, those expectations got blown out of proportion, and now their expectations are championship expectations. As Coach Dagley have gotten the Oklahoma City Thunder to the #1 overall seed as one of the youngest teams in the league. Just doing that in itself is Coach of the Year worthy, in my opinion. And the fact that he did it with the youngest team in the league is insane. Like, University of North Carolina's starting 5 this year was about the same age as Oklahoma City's starting 5. Average age. And that team is now the #1 seed in the Western Conference. A deep, tight Western Conference that honestly was a bloodbath this year. Having teams that improved their record from year prior now with worse seeding. And I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings, if you're wondering. So the fact that Oklahoma came out as the #1 seed in that tight Western Conference this year, I have to give it to Coach D. He is this year's Coach of the Year for sure. Lastly, my pick for MVP is Denver's Nikola Jokic. And I know that might be a boring pick, seeing as if he wins it this year, this will be his 3rd MVP in a row. And I know people want to see somebody like Luka Doncic, who's averaged almost a 30-point triple-double, win his first MVP this year. But even if we're going off of just the eye test, it's Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic means more to the Denver Nuggets than I feel like any other player for any team means to their team. You literally take Nikola Jokic off the court, Denver is nowhere close to what they are when he is on the court. Denver, with Nikola Jokic on the court, is the best team in the league. Denver, without Nikola Jokic on the court, is arguably one of the worst teams in the league. And you can do that off of eye test. You can actually even go through stats and different analytics, and it's all going to give you the same answer, that Nikola Jokic is this year's MVP. Granted, I will say, if it wasn't for the 65 game requirement rule, you could make a case that Joel Embiid could have won back-to-back MVPs this year if he did not get injured like how he did. But even then, I would say Jokic had the best case for MVP. The fact he's so efficient, the fact he himself is almost averaging a triple-double, the fact that without him, the Nuggets analytically are one of the worst teams in the league, it's just like, how can you not give him the MVP at this point? I'm going to say it again. Nikola Jokic is this year's MVP and has a good chance to run it back and repeat it with the Denver Nuggets. And let me tell you, if that happens, Nikola Jokic Nikola Jokic will be a top 10 NBA player of all time. And it's really crazy that I feel like Nikola Jokic doesn't get enough love in the GOAT conversation. Because let me tell you, if he does get two championships this year and gets his 3rd MVP, I'm gonna start considering Nikola Jokic in that GOAT conversation. You have to. Because statistically, he is one of the GOATs. Off of eye test, sure, you can say he's one of the GOATs. But after this season, if he gets another title and another MVP, I don't think there's any way you can't put him in the GOAT conversation. I feel like the discourse on that is going to be interesting in the near coming months. But again, my MVP for this season is Denver's Nikola Jokic. Again, it might be a boring pick, but it's the right pick. And here are my all NBA team selections, starting with the first team,
pretty simple. It was just the top 5 MVP candidates. So we got Luka, we got Shea, we got Tatum, we got Giannis, and we got Jokic. Solid first team All-NBA this year. Probably one of the best in recent memory. Secondly, for second team, I have my glorious King James, LeBron James at 39, making All-NBA team, second team. That's amazing. I have Kevin Durant. I have Kawhi, who when I told y'all, when he's healthy, Kawhi is a top 20 player all time. He was healthy this season and he balled out. So he got to be on my second team. I also have a rising star, Anthony Edwards, in the second team. He really balled out this season and he really proved that he might just be Michael Jordan's long lost son. So shout out Anthony Edwards. And lastly, I have Jalen Bronson, who really had a strong case of getting in the first team over Giannis, to be honest with you, because Jalen Bronson lost Julius Randle, but still kept up the insane scoring output and just playmaking abilities he's been doing all season. He's been one of the best point guards in the league. So second team is rightfully so for Jalen Bronson. Lastly, the third team, this is where it's going to get interesting. Okay, so number 1, I got Steph. Steph is going to be on one of these teams regardless. Even though the Warriors had a kind of pitiful season, I'm still going to put Steph third all-team NBA. Second, I'll put Tyrese Halliburton, who, in my opinion, had one of the greatest playmaking seasons I've ever seen from an NBA point guard. The fact that his assist-to-turnover ratio is something I've never seen from a point guard like that before. It's just like, yeah, 13 for sure. If he stayed healthy more of the year, I feel like he probably could have snuck into that second team, but third team still is a great honor. Who else do I have? I have Anthony Davis, who, another guy like Kawhi, once he's healthy, he is a top 15 player in the league. So he easily had to get on that list. I also have Domantas Sabonis on this list. To me, Domantas Sabonis has been one of the most underrated players the entire season. The fact that he had a streak of 61 straight double-doubles and didn't get selected onto the All-Star team is a travesty. So 100% he's going to be put on my All-NBA team to make up for that travesty. And lastly, my last pick, again, you should just already know who it's going to be. It's I know it's crazy having a rookie on the third team All-NBA selection, but honestly, you could have convinced me Victor could have been second team All-NBA, for really being honest.
And just like that, we've reached the end of this episode of the Fastbreak Mil Podcast. I just want to say thank you to everybody that took the time out their day to hear what I had to say about my award selections and my All-NBA team picks. Really means a lot. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to the Fastbreak Mil Podcast YouTube channel, and also go on TikTok and find the Fastbreak Mil Podcast TikTok page, where I also post other basketball content on that. But yeah, great NBA season. Can't wait for the playoffs. Expect videos coming out in the next couple of weeks about the playoffs and just everything going on. But yeah, hope you all have a great day. Catch y'all next time. Peace.